Pop quiz. What's rule 40 of the internet? Wrong. It's if it exists, there's a Roblox game about it. And I guess it shouldn't be too much of a surprise to hear that there's a lot of Pokemon games on Roblox. Just look at all of them. As you may know, Pokemon is a game franchise that revolves around collecting monsters known as creepy freaks and pitting them in battles against each other in turn-based RPG fashion. So of course, the first ever Roblox Pokemon game did not do that. Enter Pokemon Battle Brawlers, released in 2009. A lot of monster collection fan games on Roblox follow this formula, where you are the monster and you can walk around and either fight or roleplay with other people. Battle Brawlers is the grandfather to the many Pokemon Morph games like it that came out in the following years. Listing all of them would make this video actually never end, but there was one that managed to become a lot bigger than the rest.
I want that in my mouth.
Pokemon Fighters EX. This game was part of what I'd call the big three of Pokemon games on Roblox, one of the three most popular and remembered fan games. It released on August 19th of 2015 and quickly garnered attention, and I'm not exactly sure why. Don't get me wrong, Fighters EX is a solid game if you're into whatever it's putting down, but I don't think it really did anything unique. I barely ever played this one, so feel free to murder me in the comments. I can't say much about it, but I can say it has some pretty cool looking skins. Next on the list of totally important games for more people than I remember was Pokemon Adventures, not to be confused with the official manga. This one was a bit more in line with the official game, structured like an MMO that combines Pokemon elements with real-time strategy, as there weren't any turns. Instead, each Pokemon had up to 4 moves with cooldowns. One cool thing about the game was that you could both take out your Pokemon and have it follow you in the overworld, and also run around in battles and watch your Pokemon fight, a la Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Legends Arceus respectively. There's not many in-depth videos about this game on the internet except for one series by YouTube user HT2320, but according to my sources, the game took place in Kanto, and there were at least 5 gyms you could battle. Now, I have some experience with this game, but I joined Roblox in 2016, and at the time there were leagues better Pokemon games to play instead of this, so it was more of a neat relic of the past to me. One I didn't get to experience for long, because just like all old Roblox games, there was something looming around the corner waiting to kill it. In late 2017, that was the most beloved experimental mode. If you don't know what that is, read this, it'll be on the test. Rest in peace, Pokemon Adventures. You had one messed up Lucario. Let me just say again, I have pretty minimal experience with the games mentioned prior. I'm only really bringing them up because they existed and typically get glossed over by the vastly most popular games. You know, like I'm about to do right now. Project Pokemon, my favorite game where Gary has an Arceus. Wish Z, going by Wish Knight at the time, was a Roblox developer that liked making simple projects and publishing them onto the site, usually under the project title. Or at least I'm like 90% sure, there used to be way more on his page. But one day, in 2013, he decided to publish a not-so-simple game simply titled Project Pokemon. It only had 4 gyms, but it had Pokemon from generations up to the most recent, that being the 5th, and was receiving constant updates. One of which gave him Gary and Arceus. The game was designed like an online Pokemon MMO, having a large focus on exploration, player interaction, and special events. It was set in Kanto, because of course it is, and followed an abridged version of the typical red, blue, green, and turquoise storyline. This was my first ever Pokemon game experience, and it was a very fun one at that, though the level curve takes a steep dive after the 4th gym. That's not really a huge issue, as once you get to Saffron, there's a way to fight a bot with a team of any player you want that will become the champion. And among them is a custom bot that has a full team of level 100 Audino's you can fight to simulate the advantages of steroids. Though if you do this the moment you get to it, it'll make the rest of the game pretty trivial. Well, other than the fact that Gary has an arm. One unique aspect about Project Pokemon was that it had a large focus on uniquely colored Pokemon. And I don't just mean shinies, their encounter rate was boosted. There's a rare chance to find Pokemon with auras that gave their sprites unique changes, like tinting them a certain color, having icons orbit around them, and Star Platinum! No longer were shinies the rarest type of Pokemon. No, the economy revolved around if your Electrode looked like Gene from the Emoji Movie, or if your Gardevoir lived in a haunted mansion. There were tons and tons of different auras, some exclusive to specific Pokemon. So if you were a shiny hunter, the game had everything you would ever need and then some. Like a roulette that cost Robux to spin. Way to get little Timmy into gambling early. Project Pokemon in 2017 had big dreams. After starting off the year with an update that added in Mega Evolution, Wish Z underwent the process of revamping what I presume was going to be the entire map, or at least the early part of it, because god it was rough. By March, everything up to Peter City was changed to look better. A notable change being that Palatown no longer had to fear a landslide from Route 1. Things were looking good for the game. It may have been over a year without a Cerulean City revamp, but Wish had just added 2 extra challenge modes and netted you special legendaries in your main save if you completed them. But nothing could have prepared us for. I'm sure you're starting to see a common theme here, but we'll get to that at the end of the ride. I still have 7 minutes of video to ramble. And yes, I know I could talk about a spiritual successor Doodle World, but I don't see no Whismer in it. Next up, it's Pokemon Amber. This was an odd one, as it never worked for me. Granted, I was trying to play this game on mobile, and then when I eventually got a computer, I only got the idea to play it after it broke entirely. But it's still odd, because quite literally nobody talked about it anymore, maybe because Project Pokemon just overshadowed it that hard. Which makes complete sense, as from what I've seen from YouTube videos, this game ended after 2 routes. Well, rest in peace, Pokemon Amber. You were simply there. Now, do you guys remember when Pokemon Go was a massive thing? Everybody and their mother were going outside to get into car crashes because they found a Venonat. And when there's a popular trend, the first people that will milk it to death will be YouTubers. And then Roblox users.
Maybe because your obsession with middle schoolers!
Enter Pokemon Go. Well, the popular one by Heaven Login. I know there were probably 100 different games named Pokemon Go on the platform at the time. Released in August of 2016, this game simulated the ideal Pokemon Go experience for gamers. And by that I mean you didn't have to move an inch from your seat to catch anything. The game was sort of competitive, as when one person caught a Pokemon, it disappeared for a set amount of time before it respawned. And it certainly didn't help that the game made you choose between one of 3 in-game teams, so you knew exactly what game to start a war with if someone stole your side up. I don't know how I was gonna shoehorn this into the script, but you have a selfie stick for some reason. Somewhere around the end of the month, the game was revamped to have a new map at the expense of everyone's progress being wiped. This update added a much bigger map, now taking place in a sprawling city, and yeah, that's it. Oh, we can't forget downright predatory spawn times for legendaries.
I am so nervous. Okay, do it. Do it. Do it. Okay, what do you mean rolling a Pokemon? No.
And then only a few months later, the creator made a sequel that nobody cared about besides Thinkables. So I guess that was because of Pokemon Go's slowly dwindling popularity, and the original game's success should probably be a testament to the massive following the source had. I'd also just like to say, the original version of Pokemon Go never really resurfaced unlike its siblings. Well, except for this one video from some random kids YouTuber for the original game from January 2023, where they're talking about it like they found a copy in the wild, and I said, oh, Roblox UI, what is your secret cave and adventures? Oh yeah, and finally, shout out to Pokeblox Go. That's right, I'm no coward, I acknowledge the existence of Pokeblox Go. Alright, let's see what's next on the list. Oh boy. Is it time? I think it's time for A Very Hungry Pikachu was a game made by Team Friction, a game studio in which the seemingly only surviving developer nowadays is the owner Dominical, that had players work together to take down a giant Pikachu. I don't get it.
No, please, not me. I don't want this. I don't want this. You don't want this. Oh my god.
Oh! If you ever wanted to shoot Pikachu to death, this was your game. Notice how I said was, it's about aliens now. Now, we're finally about Pokemon Brick Bronze. Second thought, do I even need to talk about this game? It's been done to death already. Everyone and their mother misses this game, but I'll do it for you, just for you. Pokemon Brick Bronze, created by brothers Lando64000 and T-Brad M, was the most popular Roblox Pokemon game of its time. With how things are going now, of all time. Like its older brother Project Pokemon, it took its mechanics from the original game, but this time an entirely new region named Roria with an entirely new story. Little known fact, this game originally started as just a PvP focused battle simulator, a la Pokemon Showdown, but its developers decided to give it a story mode. Brick Bronze launched into early access on October 24th, 2015, having a 50 Robux fee. It garnered a sizable community, most notably for me, attracting the attention of the YouTuber thinking was probably spent more time playing the game than the creators did making it. Not only was this game the most popular Roblox Pokemon game, but at its time it was one of the most popular Roblox games in general. The game had an iron grip over the front page, only outclassed by Jailbreak, and Booga Booga that one time. I have some great memories in Brick Bronze. I never got too far, but I was able to make what's probably one of my favorite and most fondly looked back on Pokemon teams ever. I still name my Froakie's Potato after my original starter. The game got constant updates over the years, adding new gyms and story beats periodically. And when you weren't casually coming face to face with legendary Pokemon, you could battle and trade with other people. This game's roots as a PvP-oriented fan game show with the very large competitive scene it had. One thing Brick Bronze loved was its special events, even more than Project Pokemon I'd argue. After all, it was a great way to 1. Get people coming back to your game in between story updates, and 2. Keep the economy bustling with event-exclusive Pokemon. Can you believe that Mega Abomasnow was exclusive to an 8-year-old Christmas event? In 8 years? It's been that long? During its life, Brick Bronze absolutely flourished. Pretty much every active user has at least tried the game, and even gained attention off-site. Soon enough, copies began floating around, an early version of the game having been leaked and circulated around the site. Yes, it's a surprise tool that will help us later. The most notable of these stolen copies was Pokemon Breeze, sometime in late 2017, the earliest mention I could find being in October 7th. Pokemon Breeze was literally just Pokemon Brick Bronze, except the starter selection was all legendary Pokemon. I'm not kidding. Maybe they commented a slur in the code or something, but that's the only change. Well, at least for the first few versions. The game got deleted a lot, but always come back under a new account, sometimes not even that. And later, sometime in November, they made all wild encounters randomized. Just wild encounters. I have no clue what they were cooking. This copy became infamous in the community during the time it was up, as it provided surprisingly dangerous competition to the original, one late re-upload of the game amassing 1 million visits in the short time before its deletion. So yeah, I doubt I was in the minority when I celebrated this game's permanent downfall. But hey, if there's one good thing this game did, it was most likely influencing the Brick Bronze developers to add an infinitely better randomizer mode. Despite that whole fiasco, the creators were still making bank from the plentiful microtransactions scattered throughout the game, and soon the main story had been finally concluded. Now all that was left was the Elite Four and Champion, and the main game would finally be complete. But then the Pokemon company said, hold on, they're making how much money off of this? Deploy the Pestilence.
There's so much
much!
And on April 18th, 2018, Pokemon Brick Bronze was hit with a DMCA strike and forced to shut down. I mean, it makes sense. The devs had definitely made thousands off this game, with its assets ripped straight from the official games. There was an outcry in the community. One of the most popular games on the platform just got shut down. One side would say, yeah, this was a given. I mean, would you really expect a multi-million-dollar corporation to allow a copy of their games to be monetized? The other side said, oh, but think about the poor, filthy, rich developers. Just like with Pokemon Uranium and its DMCA strike, the fall of Brick Bronze filled the surrounding community with uncertainty. What was next? The answer? All of them. 4 months after Brick Bronze, every single notable Pokemon game on Roblox was taken down on August 5th. And Pokeblox Go.
I don't want to be alive anymore!
Some creators were quick to bounce back, notably Uglypo, the creator of Pokemon Fighters EX, creating a spiritual successor in Monsters of Etheria only 2.5 months later. Others took time to perfect their craft, like Llama Train Studios and now unified devs of Pokemon Brick Bronze and Witch Z with Lumion Legacy and Doodle World respectively. And some people were like, okay, but like what if I do it anyways? And post-mortem Pokemon Brick Bronze and Project Pokemon copies scattered the site. Shout out to Pokemon Brick Bronze 2, it was mostly a straightforward re-upload of the original after they changed the rival Jake into this guy. These games, of course, weren't bound to last, and usually only did for up to a month or two. That didn't stop people, including myself, from keeping the game alive in their hearts and playing whatever copy they found and getting soft-locked in double battle sections. Yeah, after a while the game just kinda broke. As the years went on, the copies became more and more buggy and just kinda sad to watch as the whole version completely broke altogether. But then, all of a sudden, just as Pokemon Brick Bronze re-uploads were about to die out, perfectly working, complete copies that were able to keep your data between re-uploads were suddenly distributed and the arms race continued once again. And now Roblox just kinda gave up in dealing with these, so now stolen Pokemon games make it to the front page. It's an odd world out there, hard to resist the temptations, but remember kids, the people who re-upload Pokemon Brick Bronze and other dead Pokemon games don't actually care about keeping the games healthy or bringing lots of community, they just want your money. And also, you've been defiling the same courses for 6 years, just let it go already.